Oh no. Why is it not working? Hi, Miles. How you doing? The chat's not working. Okay, there we go. Even Miles. Okay, the chat's working again. Brilliant. For a second, I thought the chat wasn't working on my end, and I couldn't see people's comments, but I can see the comments again now, so that's good. For a second, we're just lagging behind. Hey, Miles and CMFT, good to see you as well. How you doing? Joe Zemper, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, how you been, brother? Manny, good to see you as well. Evening, how you doing? How you been? Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Comatose, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? What's up, Miles and CMF? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, brother? Camel, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Hyper Sniper, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and CMF. Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? My chat wasn't working, so I wasn't first today. Let's go, Scott. How you doing, Miles? I'm doing great. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Billo, regarding XRP, yes. In the middle of the show, we're going to talk about Ripple and XRP. There's some news to cover regarding that matter as well. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? Theo's good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? We'll do a gist of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live show, and then the intro disclaimer. And by that time, everyone's tuned in. We have a very jam-packed live show today, and quite a lot of things to go through in terms of data points. A lot of things are happening around the world in terms of Bank of International Settlements, centralized banks, regulations, policies, data. A lot of things to cover on tonight's live show. So we'll do a gist, then intro, disclaimer, and by that time, everyone's in for the first part. Just plug this in. There we go. Okay. On tonight's live show, we are going to be talking about Coinbase's CEO, because there's an issue going on is Coinbase's CEO actually buying Bitcoin, or is he buying IOUs? We're also going to talk about a perspective coming out of BlackRock for Fed rate cuts. Fed rate cuts is the biggest issue inside the crypto space right now and the stock market. This Friday coming, we're going to get a response from the Feds of, are we going to get rate cuts or not? What percentage is going to be? We were supposed to get it last Friday, but they extended it pretty much to this Friday. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding the matter of Trump's crypto project. We have an update on Trump's crypto project. It's also going to be released tonight as well. So we're going to talk about that on tonight's live show. We're also going to be covering news regarding Ripple on tonight's live show as well. Ripple, Hedera, and another crypto project have just joined the EU, in other words, in terms of the MiCA Crypto Alliance. So we're also going to go through that on tonight's live show, which is quite a big announcement regarding the MiCA compliance, essentially a scenario where Ripple is compliant to be inside the MiCA. So is Hedera, another crypto project. We're also going to talk about something quite major on tonight's live show as well, which is 2 former SEC members are going to be coming out and talking against Gary Gensler. Two former major employees of the SEC are going to be coming out and talking against Gary Gensler. And these 2 former SEC members have been invited over by the House of essentially Governors, where they're right now investigating Gary Gensler for misconduct, for his hiring policies, for stifling innovation. And they've invited over 2 former SEC members to talk against Gary Gensler. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. And recently, regarding the SEC essentially apologizing for how they use their specific words regarding security of cryptocurrencies, which they're apologizing for. We're also going to talk about tonight's live show regarding Sony, their crypto project. We have an update on that matter as well. They've just partnered with another crypto project. We're also going to talk about Wisconsin on tonight's live show as well, regarding crypto enthusiasts and politicians are uniting support in Wisconsin. Politicians are coming together with crypto enthusiasts in Wisconsin to talk about cryptocurrencies, to bring some innovation in that matter. We're also going to talk about the Bank of International Settlements on tonight's live show as well. 41 companies alongside the Bank of International Settlements are moving forward in terms of the ledger. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to talk about Linux. Now, Linux is essentially a computer tool or phone software as well that goes up against Microsoft and iOS and so on. Linux has just essentially signed up and become a partner of the Bank of International Settlements, which is crazy to think about. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well, alongside Hedera, by the way, HBAR. We're also going to go through that on tonight's live show. We're also going to talk about El Salvador on tonight's live show as well. They've just done something that no country has ever been able to achieve. We're also going to talk about the yen on tonight's live show as well. And we have some data points coming in terms of the yen and the Fed meetings that are going on and so on. So we're going to cover that on tonight's live show. A lot of data points to go through. Vital information for you to know about if you're inside the market space. We're going to talk about Michael Saylor on tonight's live show as well. Michael Saylor has always just been bringing in more money to essentially end up buying a lot more Bitcoin. His last purchase was a ridiculous amount, roughly about $500 to $600 million of buying Bitcoin. This man just keeps on raising money to buy more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin. His recent acquisition is about $700 million he's raising to buy more Bitcoin. No matter what the price is. His last buying price was around $60,000. He spent roughly about $500 million. So a lot of things to cover on tonight's live show. We're going to start off, obviously, with the Coinbase news regarding, is Coinbase actually just buying IOU Bitcoins, or is it genuinely buying Bitcoins for BlackRock? It's a matter that's going around inside the crypto space, which is quite of a big issue, because if they are buying IOUs, then that's not good. So we're going to cover that on tonight's live show first. But before we go through that, welcome everyone to the CMF Live Show. This is the CMF Live Show, stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And on this live show, I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, and we also do live Q&As on this live show as well, which means you can, if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. We are live right now on X and YouTube at the exact same time every single night. And this is episode 157 of the CMF Live Show. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and what advice is only for entertainment purposes. And by the way, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that's been liking and retweeting this live show on X right at the beginning. Thank you so much for that. Thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's watching this right now, is also liking the live show as well. So before we go for the first news, which is regarding Coinbase, which is quite of a major issue if they are buying IOUs, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go through that news. And once again, welcome to the CMF Live Show. If you are new and if you're a regular, let's go CMF. So let's see where we were inside the comment section, and then we go for the first news, and then comment section, second news, Q&As, third news, and so on. But we have a lot of news to go through on tonight's live show, a lot of vital information for you to know about. Let's see where we were. We were at here. Shelly, good to see you all morning. How you doing? Mike, good to see you all. How you doing? George, hi Miles CMF, good to see you all. How you doing? Scott, I love my CMF. Please share the live if you don't mind. Let's go, Scott. Definitely share the live if you're watching this. How was your meeting? Good. How far are you with CoinMove? You sacrificed a lot of your company to help us after XRP Moon? Yes, I will. How's everything? Is good. How's everything with you? I love my CMF. Please share the live. Let's go, Scott. Hey, Shelly. How are you? No, that was for Shelly. Hi, I'm from Nevada. Pokemon, how you doing from Nevada? Good to see you. Let's see. I'm so glad you brought up Linux. Let's go. Good evening, Commander Miles and the rest of the crypto army. Good to see you all, Funky brother. How you doing? I'm on time, brother. This time, yes, you are. You always make it up for the times you can't do the show. Let's go, Camel. Can you get him a sponsor as a hedge fund? Low. Shelly, here we go. Hi, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, Stormy. How you doing? Good day, Miles. Hope you're well, mate. I'm doing great, Dale. Good to see you as well. How you doing? JP, thank you so much for the donation of 99 cents. Is this real? Yep, it is. And JP, thank you so much for the donation. Any donation that comes through is going straight to start up the CMF hedge fund. Okay, now, first news. Statement from Coinbase. A statement from Coinbase's CEO. So there's a bit of an issue going on. A few CEOs are coming out right now and saying that Coinbase might be buying IOUs and not Bitcoin itself. Now, this initially started from Tron's Justin Sun. In other words, he came out and started going against Coinbase's CEO and saying Coinbase's CEO is a very crooked and dodgy businessman. Now, by the way, this is Justin Sun calling somebody else dodgy and crooked, which is an interesting matter because Justin Sun is also crooked. Now, a statement from Coinbase's CEO, because this issue is getting out of hand. It responds to allegations that they caused Bitcoin's price to fall. Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, has responded to recent claims that Coinbase did not actually purchase the Bitcoin it purchased for BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock chose Coinbase as a broker for on-chain transactions of BTC purchased through ETFs. In addition, Coinbase's new product, CBDC, was accused of being a centralized asset. In response to these claims, Armstrong made the following statement on social media. Not sure what this is all about. All ETF minting and burns we process are ultimately done on chain. Institutional clients have trade finance and OTC options before the trades are even done on chain. This is a norm for all our institutional clients. All funds are settled in our prime vaults on chain approximately 1 business day. Armstrong also said Coinbase is transparent as a public company that is audited annually by Dilute, adding that the institutional clients value privacy and would not appreciate having their addresses mined for public scrutiny. He also addressed concerns about Coinbase's new product, CBDC, explaining that it is also indeed centralized asset. As for CBDC, yes, you are trusting a central custodian to store an underlying BTC. We have never claimed otherwise, he said. Bloomberg's analyst Eric also decided to get involved in this matter. He joined the debate in support for CEO of Coinbase, Armstrong's stance, saying that people keep asking me if I believe Armstrong. Yes, I do believe Armstrong, because BlackRock doesn't joke around, which is factual. BlackRock does not joke around. If Coinbase played their BTC, they would be furious, and they would be a violation of the Act of 1933, which means if Coinbase was actually playing around with BlackRock, not buying real Bitcoins for them, then they could be sued into the ground. It is BlackRock at the end of the day. Eric also explained that Bitcoin investors, like gold investors in the past, are naturally skeptical of institutions. Instead of looking in the mirror, Bitcoiners are looking for a scapegoat to blame for their selling pressure. The blame should be on ETFs, but all they've done is save your assets from being wiped out over and over again. Now, this point that Eric, the Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, is making, by the way, everybody on Wall Street listens to Bloomberg like it's the gospel, because it's vital information for Wall Street heads. So with Eric coming out and backing Coinbase is quite a big of a major factor, but also what Eric said is quite important for a lot of people to hear inside the crypto space. The reason, as I said multiple times, the reason why you've never seen $10,000 Bitcoins again or $20,000 Bitcoins for a very long time, but everybody else inside the crypto space a while ago was saying, you know, you're going to see $10,000 Bitcoins or $20,000 Bitcoins. And I pretty much went against everybody else, because I said, institutions don't buy an asset to sell next week. Institutions come into play and they hold an asset for a minimum of 5 years, because they see a 5-year projection on any asset they buy, or 10-year projection depending on the institution, or 15 or 20 years. So I said the reason why you're not going to be seeing $5,000 Bitcoins or $10,000 Bitcoins or $20,000 Bitcoins is because they're not selling. The institutions are buying for 5-year projections, which is the same thing that I've been saying for a very long time, is the same thing Eric, the Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, said, which is that the institutions regarding the ETFs have been saving your asses. Because if the ETFs weren't in play for Bitcoin, if the institutions weren't buying on a 5-year projection, you would have definitely seen those $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 Bitcoins. But because of the ETFs and because of the institutions buying for 5-year projections, they've saved you all of your asses holding Bitcoin. So for everybody out there that's blaming the ETFs or blaming institutions, just step back for a second and think about it. They are saving your ass literally, because if they weren't in the middle, if the institutions weren't in the middle, buying ETFs, buying Bitcoin, in other words, for 5-year projections, you would have definitely seen those $5,000 Bitcoins or $10,000 Bitcoins or $20,000 Bitcoin prices. The reason why you won't see them is because they're saving your asses with all these institutional purchasing power. So when Bitcoin is going downhill, don't blame the institutions. It's mostly the retail section that's selling off while they're still buying in. Just give you one example, Michael Saylor. He's raising another $700 million to go head first into buying more Bitcoin. His recent purchase was around $500 million at an acquisition price of $60,000 per Bitcoin. They're buying any price Bitcoin is sitting at, they're pretty much buying in. So they're saving your asses. So for anyone inside the Bitcoin space, or if you're a Bitcoin maxi and you're blaming ETFs and so on, the ETFs and the institutions buying purchase power is saving your ass for you to never see those $20,000 Bitcoins ever again. Eric also likened the current situation to the past when gold ETFs were accused of being paper gold, but those claims were also eventually debunked. So I'm so glad that somebody like Eric, who's a Bloomberg ETF special analyst, who everybody on Wall Street listens to, finally came out and said the truth, that the ETFs and the institutions buying the Bitcoin ETFs are saving your ass for you to never see those $20,000 Bitcoins ever again. Now, because they're buying for 5-year projections, that's what companies do. Now, before we go to the next news, which is regarding the Federal Reserve and BlackRock, let's go inside the comment section first. which is also quite vital information regarding BlackRock as well, because the Fed rate cuts is a major issue inside the crypto space. Are we going to have rate cuts? What's the percentage going to be? Is it going to be 0.25 or 0.75, or is it going to be more extreme, which could lead to a recession? So this Friday, we're going to be getting some sort of a news or announcement of rate cuts happening from the Fed. Finally, they were supposed to give it last Friday, but they keep on extending it. So let's see if this Friday is going to be the one. But before we go through that, let's move to the conversation first. Happy to see you, Miles. Lena, good to see you. How you doing? Good morning, Miles of CMF. Ghost Runner, good to see you. How you doing? Morning. Let's hear even Miles and Crypto Peeps. Semper, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Free Feather, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, we know this was coming down the road pretty much. Let's see where we were. Honestly, can't wait. Let's go, funky brother. Shirley, let's XRP take off. Let's come Australia, give some sun. Okay. Why the markets are down? Well, the markets were a little bit down due to Fed rate cuts, a little bit down to apparently regarding Trump getting a second attempt of an assassination happening on Trump did make the markets react in a negative way, believe it or not. Okay, because the timing matches when the chart started sliding downwards. Now, don't bet on big Federal Reserve rate cuts, says BlackRock. BlackRock's analysts have decided to come out and give their perspectives because this Friday is going to be quite crucial. Rate cuts, yes or no, is going to be happening. So BlackRock Investment Institution says don't count on the Federal Reserve slashing US interest rates as much as the bond market expects. They argue that the US economy is still too strong and inflation is still too high for the central banks to make any deep cuts. Market traders are betting on a total of 120 basis points worth of rate cuts this year alone, and they're expecting even bigger rate cuts up to 250 basis points by the end of 2025. That would bring the current interest rate range of 5.25% to 5.5% down to around 2.8% to 2.9% by the end of next year. But BlackRock believes that these expectations are overblown and that markets are preparing for a rate cut like those seen in the past recessions, but they don't think it will go that far. So BlackRock assumes that we're not going to be heading towards any sort of recession type of scenarios. They see a combination of factors, including an aging workforce, a budgeting deficiency, and a geopolitical tensions keeping inflation and interest rates higher in the short to medium term. The largest asset manager in the world added that they're bearish on short-term US treasuries. Bond yields are reflecting these big rate cuts expectations, but if the cuts aren't essentially as deep as people think, the bonds are going to be performing as well. On the other hand, BlackRock is bullish on stocks, particularly those tied to artificial intelligence. They see long-term growth potential in AI, and which is why they're essentially overweighting on US equities. Expectations from the current market. Investors are skeptical about whether the cuts will even help the crypto market, especially Bitcoin if we do have rate cuts. Right now, it is down about 3%, sitting around $58,158 after recently surging past $60,000. As usual, Ethereum is not doing any better, dropping roughly 4% to $2,302. Lower interest rates typically boost crypto. Lowering borrowing costs and increased liquidity have made it easier for investors to take risk. Shannon, the chief investment officer at Berman, says that if the Fed goes for a big cut, like 50 basis points, it could signal that the economy is especially in a worse shape than people might have thought. In that case, investors might bail on risky assets. In 2009, for example, when the Fed made very excessive rate cuts, Bitcoin rallied hard. But that was during a time when investor sentiment was much more bullish. Let's be realistic, the current situation isn't the same. During earlier easing cycles, like in 2000 to 2003 and 2007 to 2009, markets often miscalculated the depth of cuts and they reacted very badly to them. In some of those periods, crypto prices struggled as a result. Guterman, an analyst at Bernstein, sees essentially an opportunity for crypto markets if the Fed opts for smaller cuts. Stablecoin lending yields could rise about 5%, potentially attracting institutional investors back into decentralized finance markets, particularly on the Ethereum network. But even a smaller cut isn't a sure thing. David, Vice President of Products and Marketing at Coinbase, says that while the lower rates are usually helping Bitcoin, the motivation behind it matters. Arthur Hayes, one of Bitcoin's oldest believers and the founder of BitMax, said, The reserve repo program, RRP, pays 5.3%, and no T-bills on the 1-year maturity pays more. Money market funds will move money from T-bills to RRP, which is a negative for liquidity. Since Jackson Hole, the RRP is up essentially roughly about $120 billion. In my opinion, this will continue as long as T-bills rates remain lower than the RRP, as if that wasn't enough to worry about political events or also harming the crypto markets. Today's market tumbles is actually largely credited to former President Donald Trump's second assassination attempt that happened yesterday. The reason why the crypto markets are reacting this way is due to some play of geopolitical tensions and also an attempt of an assassination on Donald Trump for once again. Remains to be seen how the elections will also affect the markets. Trump claims he likes crypto, and his opponent, the Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris, doesn't care less about it, which is factual. Kamala couldn't care less about cryptocurrencies, whilst Donald Trump is pro-crypto. That's evident. Analysts at Bernstein and Bitfinex believe that if Kamala wins, BTC will crash below $40,000. But if Trump wins, they're predicting another all-time high before the year is over. Right now, the polls are suggesting it's a 50-50 scenario of Trump versus Kamala. Let's just be honest. In reality, it's more like Trump is going to win than Kamala is. I don't think anyone inside the crypto space is really voting for Kamala. But even outside of the crypto space, if you have any sort of brain cells, you wouldn't be voting for Kamala because she had 4 years alongside Biden to fix the US. And what's happened so far is higher inflation, higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, higher mortgage prices, higher loan prices, higher in everything type of prices, sending more billions of dollars into Ukraine for no apparent reason when the American public itself cannot afford basic housing things. And also another issue is Kamala goes around and says that Donald Trump is going to censor you. Donald Trump is a part of Plan 2025. Let's just be honest, okay? If we're going to use, that's complete lies, but let's just use factual information on who actually does censoring. Is it Trump that's going to be censoring people, or is it Kamala Harris that's going to be censoring people? Well, here's a factual bit of information. TikTok was a big issue for the United States, where Kamala Harris and the Biden administration and Joe Biden were trying to stifle TikTok. They were trying to close it down. So who's really trying to go, essentially for censorships? Because Kamala Harris claims that Donald Trump is all about censorship. But in reality, Kamala Harris, the Biden administration, were the ones trying to censor TikTok. So that's factual. But her stating just blatant lies against Donald Trump are lies. The amount of lies that came out of Kamala Harris's mouth is ridiculous, beyond ridiculous. Now, Trump, on the topic of Trump, crypto project. Trump's crypto project is going to be tonight. Is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? I've given my opinions about it. My opinion regarding Trump's crypto project, putting aside that, if I had a vote, it was going for Donald Trump. If I had a vote, it was going for Donald Trump by a mile. Trump is a better leader. He's just better for the economy, better for the world, because the United States is pretty much dominating the rest of the world. Everybody listens to them. So just better in general for the world is Donald Trump. So I would vote for him if I had a vote. Putting that to a side, going on the topic of Donald Trump and his son's crypto project, do I think it's a good thing or a bad thing? I said the timing is bad. I said a few nights ago when this was, wrapping up and getting quite big, Donald Trump's crypto project, his son's crypto project, and I said it's a bad on the timing. It might not be a bad crypto project, and I don't know for now, but I said the timing is bad. I said his father is trying to become president of the United States, while his son is trying to launch a crypto project before his father makes it the presidency. And I said if the crypto project goes south, if it gets compromised, if it gets hacked, if people lose money, that is bad for voting. So I said the timing of his son releasing a crypto project is stupid. If his son is going to be releasing a crypto project, release it after your father becomes president, not before. Because if it gets hacked or compromised, which it did on the 30th of August, I think it was, 30th of last month, the Telegram group of Trump's son's crypto project was compromised, where scammers and hackers were getting involved inside of Telegram and sending out links to people for people to click on and to pretty much lose their wallets. So it became compromised once in their Telegram group last month. And it's just a bad idea. A lot of things can go wrong with launching a crypto project. A lot of things can go wrong with launch. You can get compromised, you can get hacked. Things could, move slow. People could lose their accounts, lose access to their accounts. A lot of things can go south with launching a crypto project. So I personally said, it's a stupid idea to launch it now. It might be a brilliant project, an amazing project regarding Trump's son releasing this crypto project. It might be an amazing project. The timing is off. He should wait. His father becomes president, and then he releases it. Not tonight. Because this is what I said a few days ago. Now, this is what came out. Trump's crypto gambit. What we know about today's launch of the World Liberty Financial. The former President Donald Trump, campaigning as the Republican nominee for the US election in November, has teased plans for the official announcement on tonight. The new crypto company. Certain details of the project have already leaked out in draft proposals. With little over a month and a half to go till the US presidential elections, Donald Trump's schedule is packed. Rallies, debates, stump speeches, crisscrossing the country to campaign in the battleground states. Over the weekend, at his golf club in West Palm Beach, Florida, he became the target of what the FBI described as an attempted assassination, which, thank God, nothing happened to Trump. Despite all of that, the former president, Republican nominee, has carved out some time later on Monday to unveil a new crypto company called World Liberty Financial. Formally on X tonight, apparently it's scheduled that Donald Trump is going to be doing a live stream specifying of the blockchain app that he and his son have been teasing for months in the lead up to November's presidential election. The project has already sparked controversy. Hackers recently compromised X accounts belonging to the members of the Trump family, promoting fake links to the crypto company, while the real app has yet to be officially launched. Leaked details of the project's leadership team and its ties to another recent hacked app have sparked concerns among some of the former president supporters in the crypto world, which is factual. So one member of Trump's son's crypto team is somebody that's been inside the crypto space before. That person has had a crypto project before, which went very south. His crypto project was compromised and a lot of people lost money. That man is now a part of Trump's son's team for this new crypto project. Earlier this month, CoinDesk obtained a confidential draft for the project outlining plans for an app meant to make decentralized finance accessible to the masses. Decentralized finance refers to blockchain-based tools that allows users to directly trade, borrow, and lend and invest assets without traditional middlemen. After derailing Bitcoin as based on thin air back in 2019, Trump has explicitly braced technology and amped up his pro-crypto methods in recent months with especially three NFT projects, especially with the blockchain industry emerging as one of the election cycle's biggest corporate fundraisers. His speech at the Bitcoin National Conference in July outlining how favorable crypto policies was met with repeated standing ovations and cheers from thousands of attendees. The white paper obtained by CoinDesk advertises World Liberty Financial as a way of putting the power of finance back in the hands of the people as an answer to the rigged financial system. Who is involved? World Liberty Financial team includes a mix of Trump family members, his 18-year-old Baron, who's listed as the chief DeFi visionary of the World Liberty Financial, traditional financial figures and blockchain industry leaders. The elders Trump title with the project would be chief crypto advocate, according to the white paper. The pair spearheading the project, Zach Folkman and Chase Harrow, are not well known inside the crypto space. CoinDesk previously reported that the duo was responsible for Doge Finance. So these two people, Folkman and Chase Harrow, were a part of another crypto project regarding called Doge Finance, which went incredibly south. A lot of people lost money. So they were part of Doge Finance, a DeFi product that failed to gain traction and was hacked for $2 million over the summer. The pitch outlined in the World Financial Liberty's white paper closely resembles that of Dole. That's not good as well. Both platforms are modeled as user-friendly interfaces for assessing Avenue, a popular Ethereum-based lending market, and some of early codes for the Trump-backed crypto app appears to have been lifted directly from Harrow's and Folkman's old project. Now, again, this is all according to Cointelegraph. Cointelegraph has apparently had access to the white paper of World Liberty Financial, and Cointelegraph decided to do an article about it, where they talked about the white paper, what's involved in it, what's the roadmap, what's the step-by-step, who's involved in it, and they're saying that's similar to Doe Finance, a crypto project that was hacked a very long time ago. A perspective coming from Cointelegraph because they've apparently seen the white paper. Outside of crypto, Folkman and Hero are founders of Subify, a censorship-free subscription platform similar to OnlyFans, and that is the best known for association with the influencer Logan Paul. Folkman, who registered the LLC for World Liberty Financial, used to deliver seminars advising men on how to make up women. According to Bloomberg report published last week, Hero has promoted himself as a dirtbag of the internet and has promoted failed cryptocurrencies, calling get-rich scheme classes, and so on. Okay, so the business partners of Trump's son for this crypto project seem to be people who've had a past inside the crypto space and other spaces which weren't great pasts. A Trump crypto token. Crypto projects frequently release governance tokens to decentralize their products and sidestep security regulations. World Liberty has not officially unveiled its plans for a cryptocurrency, but the white paper reviewed by CoinDesk suggested that the project will eventually sell a governance token called WLFI. According to the document, the Ethereum-based WLFI token will be a non-transferable, meaning it won't be possible to trade on the blockchain, but holders will be able to use it to vote on changes on the World Liberty Financial Development Roadmap. As usual, large 70% of WLFI tokens have apparently been reserved for World Liberty's team and developers. 70% of the tokens supply for the World Liberty Financial is held by the team developers, not by the people. The rest will be sold to the public. So 70% for them, 30% for the public. The rest will be sold to the public, with the proceeds from that sale also reserved for World Liberty insiders. While crypto projects generally reserve a portion of their tokens to compensate founders, which is factual, investors and developers, these groups rarely receive more than 20 to 30% of the total supply. The WLFI's allocation to insiders is much more larger than its pure projects, and token pre-sales are relatively uncommon altogether in today's crypto industries because they tend to face legal and practical hurdles from the SEC. The transfer restrictions may be designed to make WLFI look less like a stock in the eyes of the regulators, since they will make the asset difficult to buy and sell like other speculative cryptocurrencies. However, traders frequently sell IOUs for blockchain assets via legal agreements and handshake deals, and WLFI holders could essentially vote to make that asset directly transferable on blockchains in the future. Community response. Trump has fashioned himself as cryptocurrency's sole champion in this year's presidential race, and his crypto venture uses anti-establishment theoretics that could resonate with single-issue crypto voters and MAGA, essentially people that are supporting him. Neither Trump or the Republican presidential nominees nor his Democratic opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, mentioned crypto at their last week's television debate. While it is unclear how closely World Liberty Financial will ultimately resemble its white paper, some of Trump's backers within the crypto industry are worried that the whole plan could backfire. Is there something that we, as the crypto Twitter, can collectively do to stop the launch of World Liberty Coin? Coming from Nick Carter, a prominent crypto industry figure and a Trump supporter. The reason why Nick Carter, somebody that's coming out of CoinDesk, saying this essentially, that is there a way to delay the launch of World Liberty Financial? He's not saying it because he's against Trump, because he's voting for Trump. He's not saying it because he's against Trump's son for launching a crypto project. He's for it. He's pro-Trump, he's voting for Trump, and he's for this whole crypto project coming out of Trump. He thinks it's an amazing idea. He's just thinking the timing is a bit of an issue because it's voting season. It's going to be who's the next president pretty much coming very soon. Is it the perfect time to launch a crypto project? Because if it backfires, it will backfire very bad with the compromisations and the hackings, and people lose money, which means losing voters, which means the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is just head to toe full of BS. The Wall Street Journal has written so many fake articles about the crypto space, it's pretty much unreal. So I can already tell, sort of titles coming out of Wall Street Journal. If things do go south, the Wall Street Journal comes out and says Trump's family is scamming people inside the crypto space. And in reality, they're not. They're absolutely not scamming people inside the crypto space. It's just maybe their crypto project went south and people got scammed. So the timing is a bit of an issue. Why is Trump's son releasing some sort of crypto project before his father makes it the presidency? It's a bit ridiculous. Let your father become president and then launch whatever crypto project you want. Launch 10 crypto projects. It doesn't matter then. Just why before? Which is what Nick Carter's essentially is trying to say from CoinDesk. The crypto industry figures and Trump supporters asked on X, formerly on Twitter, after CoinDesk published its initial report on World Liberty Financial's white paper. Though the Trump family appears deeply involved in World Liberty Financial, and Donald Trump will be officially unveiling it today evening. The project's white paper claims that the platform has no political affiliation, stating that World Liberty Financial is not owned, managed, operated, or sold by Donald J. Trump, the Trump organization, or any of his respective family members, affiliates, or principals. So the reason why they're saying all of this is, one, for suings later on so nobody can sue the Trump family if things do go south, as people get scammed or people get, hacked or compromised. They're saying it's got nothing to do with Trump family. So they actually stated that the World Liberty Financials is not owned, managed, or operated, or sold by Donald J. Trump, the Trump organization, or any of the respective family member affiliates or principals. It's got nothing to do with Trump if things do decide to go south. It also adds, however, they may own WLFI tokens and receive compensation from World Liberty Financial and its developers. World Liberty Financial and WLFI are not political and have no affiliations with any political campaign. So that's pretty much everything you wanted to know about Trump's project getting released today, if it does get released today. But that's everything you pretty much want to know. The roadmap, we went through it. The team members are, two team members are very dodgy perspectives from their past life inside the crypto space. You could say dodgy, you could maybe say not dodgy, but one of them had a crypto project that went incredibly south and got compromised for $2 million, and a lot of people lost their money. The other one owns a platform like OnlyFans. These are the team members of Trump's son for World Liberty Financial. And the Trump family have said that we're not associated with this crypto project in any sort of a way, is what the Trump family said. We're not associated with this crypto project. The political campaign is not associated with this crypto project. Neither of the Trump organizations or Donald J. Trump or the family members or affiliates or principals are not a part of the World Liberty Financial project at all. So none of the Trump families are a part of this crypto project, according to their own words. And however, it says that the Trump family might own some WLFI tokens, but they're not a part of it. And that 70%, according to their roadmap that was released to CoinDesk and Cointelegraph, 70% of the tokens of WLFI are held for team members and developers, while 30% is for the retail section. So this is vital information for you to know about before you go headfirst into this World Liberty Financial project, where 70% is held by them, 30% is for retail population. When you do buy the token, you can't sell it. So it comes to, the token is going to be used for voting power. Now, maybe if the voting power comes in where you can, sell it off, that's a possibility. Or before their launch, their roadmap is now updated and has changed where you can sell the token. Remember, this roadmap was handed to CoinDesk, Cointelegraph about 2 days ago. So within 2 days, they could have changed it where you can sell it. Or maybe it's not 70% anymore, and it's less they're holding on to. But what we do know is that, according to their first roadmap, essentially white paper roadmap, is what we do know is that. So this is vital information for you to know about essentially going for World Liberty Financial. I said to everybody, treat it as any other crypto project that you go for. For me personally, what matters when it comes to a crypto project is what are they trying to build? Who are they working with in terms of partnerships and contracts? And are they going to be here in 5 years' time? It's pretty much all that matters to me. What are they trying to build? Who are they working alongside? And are they going to be in 5 years' time? Are they working with banks? Are they working with institutions? Those are all positives. And are they going to be in 5 years' time? Is all that matters to me. And I said I would treat it, this crypto project like I treat any other crypto project out there. So that's all the vital information you need to know about regarding Trump's project. Moving on from the Trump project to the MICA. So the MiCA regulations coming out of the EU is quite vital. Any crypto project that wants to be part of the EU market space to be able to operate have to be compliant with the MiCA regulations. So far, a few random crypto projects that don't actually have tokens are a part of the MiCA. One of them is Circle, who has a token, USDC. The other one was going to be Tether, USDT, but Tether was rejected from the MiCA, from the EU market space completely. They're going to be delisting USDT over time. Some exchanges have already delisted USDT inside of the EU because Tether doesn't want to show some sort of transparency by holding 60% of their assets in EU banks. Now, on the matter of MiCA crypto compliance, Ripple, Hedera, and APT have just became MiCA crypto compliant in a loophole type of way. So Ripple, Hedera, and APT, the MiCA Crypto Alliance launched today with key blockchain players, Ripple, Hedera, and APT Foundation joining as founding members of the MiCA Crypto Alliance. They're joining as the founding members, Ripple, Hedera, and APT. Backed by DLT Science Foundation, this alliance aims to help crypto firms navigate new regulations in the European Union more effectively, particularly in the markets and crypto asset regulations, MiCA. According to the DLT Science Foundation post, Ripple, Hedera, and APT have joined forces to improve transparency and encourage innovation in the blockchain technology. The DLT Science Foundation, which is also behind this innovative plan, innovation, plans to work closely with businesses and developers to foster a compliant and sustainable future for cryptocurrencies like XRP, HBAR, and APT under the MiCA compliance. MiCA regulation. The MiCA regulation is a part of the EU's broader push to create a safe and innovative digital asset environment. It requires a CSAPs to publish details on the impact of climate change on their operations. This regulation demands strict disclosures from service providers, including centralized exchanges, to ensure transparency and sustainability. However, many firms struggle to meet these requirements due to a lack of standardized processes. The MiCA Crypto Alliance seeks to address this by offering members access to advanced tools that streamline compliance. According to DLT, these tools will assist with sustainability assessments and white paper creations, making it easier for firms to meet their required standards. For those unfamiliar with the technical aspects, MiCA is set to set up rules aimed at making cryptocurrencies world more transparent inside the EU, just like traditional finance systems. Follow regulations to ensure fair operations. The markets and crypto assets regulations ensures that crypto firms do the same. By offering tools and resources, the Alliance helps companies comply with these new rules without being overwhelmed by complexities of crypto-specific regulations. The DLT Science Foundation will provide strict guidance and technical support to members of the MiCA Crypto Alliance, helping them adapt to an evolving regulatory environment. So XRP, HBAR, and APT have just pretty much through a loophole became a part under the MiCA Crypto Alliance, because they're essentially the foundation of the MiCA Crypto Alliance launched today with key blockchain players, Ripple, Hedera, and APT Foundation joining as the founding members. So that in itself, amazing news. Absolutely amazing news for XRP, HBAR, and APT to be the founding members of this under the MiCA regulations. Something that Tether could pretty much never achieve, because Tether struggles with transparency. Whereas XRP, no issue with transparency. HBAR, no issue with transparency. APT, no issue with transparency under the MiCA regulations. So they are compliant. And they are the founding members now. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Of that Science DLT project. Now, before we go to the next news, which again is incredible news. The next news is unbelievable news. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. If you do have any questions, jot it down in the comment sections. This is a live show, which means if you have any questions, go through it. I'm reading everyone's questions one by one, just giving quick responses to get rapidly through them. So go for it if you have any questions. Let's see where we were at before we was my no. I thought no. When is it coming down the road? I missed. We're still on the way. Do you mean Wednesday the 18th? It's supposed to be today, but it looks like CB. I just DM you because Shelly made me up. Let's see. I'll be back. No. Trump had 4 years too. Trump had 4 years to what? Fix the US. Yes, Trump did have 4 years to fix the US. The economy was better under Trump. There was no new wars. Inflation was better. Yeah, you're right. Trump had 4 years also inside the United States. And if you really think about it, there was no wars. Inflation was better. Everyone was able to afford groceries. Everyone was able to afford gas. Everybody was able to afford electrics. Everybody was able to afford groceries. I mean, I could go on for days on things you were able to afford to buy under Trump. And no wars. And inflation was better. So yeah, you're right. Trump also did have 4 years too. And he fixed it. Trump's social was censored. Trump's social is not censored. Anyone with brain cells understands the VP's job is more current than anything except to vote as a vote at presidentials of US Senate. Miles, they're all lies. Trump is a pathological and hyper liar. I'm a Haitian man. I could never vote for Trump. I do not trust either of them, Harris or Trump. I mean, that's a fair statement. If you don't trust either one, that's a fair statement. When it comes to politics, it's very difficult to trust politicians. I understand if somebody says, I don't trust either one. I told you, Miles, it's going to happen. He's going to make statements, but the thing will not come through. I know 100% that it gets. I said that to you, and we agreed on it. Yes, we did. Interestingly, as it gets closer to the election day by the US, these election attempts, are they real? I think so. Regarding the attempt assassinations on Trump, are they real? Because a lot of people are talking about them. Some people are saying they're not real. Some people are saying Trump's doing this for votes. Look, the attempt assassinations on Trump, in my perspectives, are real. The first attempt assassination that happened on Trump, the news, after a little bit of time, decided to whitewash it and say it never happened, which is an indication of it did happen because we all saw it. But the first time it happened, they decided to say on the news that Trump was never assassinated, nobody tried to go for Trump, and so on. They tried to lie about it and say it never happened. Now, this is a second attempt. Look, the only reason they're trying to get rid of Trump, the only reason that they're trying to get rid of Trump is because when it comes to that election day, we all know who's going to be sitting in that chair, and it's not going to be Kamala Harris. So the only way to, stop Trump from reaching that seat, you could say, is what they're doing now, which is very wrong. It's very, very wrong. And I said this in a very basic statement. Here's a question to everyone right now watching. Here's a question. If you have a room full of politicians, it's a very basic question. Forget Trump, forget Kamala Harris, forget Joe Biden, forget all of these people. Basic question. Forget all of these people, just basic question. If you have a room full of politicians, just use common sense. If you have a room full of politicians and one businessman, who is more crooked? Who is more dodgy? Who is the corrupt person in the room? If you have a room full of politicians, and one businessman, who is the corrupt person in that room? Is the corrupt person that one businessman, or is the corrupt person that collective group of people or politicians? Who is more corrupt? A room full of politicians or one businessman? That's all I have to say. Use common sense. Put your answers inside the comment section. So forget Trump, forget Kamala, forget Joe Biden, forget all of these people. Just answer this in a basic question type of scenario, okay? A basic answer. Forget Trump, forget Kamala, forget Joe Biden, forget all of these people. Just answer this basic question. Who is more corrupt? A room full of politicians or one businessman? Everybody put your answers inside the comment section. So forget Trump, forget Kamala, forget Joe Biden, forget these people. A room full of politicians or one businessman? Who is more corrupt in that room? Whether Donald Trump Jr. sets the crypto program now or later, doesn't matter. His daughter and his son-in-law benefit from the huge deals from China. I'm pro-crypto, but have the intelligence, aka brain cells, to differentiate between the theoreticals of their supporters and what is actual factory. Miles, do we have any XRP news tonight? Yes, we do. We have, well, that we just went for right now. We got 58,000 without ETFs. Now they come on the scene, buy more Bitcoin, any other signal entity on Earth, and the price basically doesn't move. I'm calling BS. What's really going on? That's what's really, sorry, Miles, I'm late tonight. Hope not missed much. Adi, good to see you. I didn't perfect time. What's up, Miles and family? Ray, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, with the institutions gambling up on XRP, shouldn't price increase eventually with less tokens being available? Yes, eventually, yes. Political is one big rigged game. Political games are one big ring? Yes, big rigged game. What's up, Miles, and what's up, CMF? Max, good to see you. How you doing? Did I miss a lot on the first 30 minutes? Quite a bit, actually. Trump's mafia supporters have created their political environment that we live in. Answer to the question, politicians. Okay, here we go. Here's the answers coming in. Answer to that question. So I asked a very simple question. I said, forget Donald Trump, forget Kamala Harris, forget Sleepy Joe Biden, forget all of these people. I said, a room full of politicians or one businessman, who is more corrupt? That one businessman in that room or a room full of politicians? Who's more corrupt? Very simple question. Answer to that question, politicians. Parker says politicians. I don't trust any politicians. So the answer is politicians. Hi, Mouse. I'm one of the late cast. Chief, good to see you. How you doing? The politicians. But why do people want to be with politicians? Nobody wants to be politicians. But even Scott, you're saying politicians as well. Camel. Politicians. Corrupt is always the politicians. Freedom Feather says politicians. Stormy says politicians. The Ray says politicians. Mike says both. A room full of politicians and one businessman, they're in the same category in terms of corrupt. A room full of politicians. The politicians, well, I'm not going to make a statement because I think everybody should know the answer, is what JP said. Politicians are crooks. Politicians, Emmanuel says as well, politicians are the most corrupt people on the planet. Stormy says Kamala and her demonic democratic cronies will be running the hills soon, coming soon to the country. Of course, politicians is what Shulzone says. I'm guessing everybody's going to agree with politicians. Sorry, I mean one is better. The one businessman is better, yeah. So everybody has their answer. So everybody pretty much has their answer of who is more corrupt when you have a room full of politicians or one businessman. That one businessman is trying to tell you that room full of politicians are corrupt. And that room full of politicians is trying to tell you that that one businessman is corrupt. But you know yourself that inside that room full of politicians and one businessman, the politicians are corrupt. So knowing the answer, the politicians are corrupt, go for the businessman. You yourself, all of you pretty much have said the politicians. A room full of politicians and one businessman, who's more corrupt? Everybody says politicians. So go for the businessman then. Do you see how simple that was? All I had to do was just take away the names. All I had to say to everyone was, forget Donald Trump, forget Sleepy Joe Biden, forget Kamala Harris. All I had to do was take away the names from this equation, and I go and I say a room full of politicians or one businessman, who's more corrupt, the politicians or the businessman that's in the room? Everybody says politicians, because I took the names away from the question. I took the names away from the equation. It becomes simple for a lot of people, and everybody goes, the politicians are more corrupt than that one businessman. But the moment you add the names in, some people get confused. Some people don't want to answer the question. But when you take the names away, the answer becomes very clear. When you take the names away, the answer becomes very clear in that question. But when you add the names back in, some people don't want to answer the question. Some people want to answer the question with a question. The businessmen are the ones financing the politicians, but both the same is what Daniel says. The businessmen are the ones financing the politicians. Not all businessmen are financing politicians. Some, yes, not all. So bad equation. But I can genuinely say on my equation, all politicians are corrupt. There's not a single politician on this planet that hasn't done something dodgy in their past or current. Well, I'm never giving you an answer, as JP said, lol. But regarding, yeah, the businessman wants finance politicians. Not all businessmen are corrupt, and not all businessmen are financing politicians. But when it comes to politicians, every single politician is corrupt. There's not a single politician on this planet that you can wholeheartedly say that person is genuine. And if you're thinking about Trump, he's not really a politician, he's a businessman. So it doesn't really fit into the category of politics. Trump is a businessman, not a politician. So he doesn't apply to this equation when I say all politicians are corrupt. He doesn't apply to it because since day one, he was never a politician. He applies to the business category, not the politician category. Now, moving on from, politicians and who's more corrupt and so on, to this one's very crucial news. Very, very crucial news. Of course, but I think everybody in this chat knows that. And if you don't, there's something. Here's some important news. SEC, Gary Gensler. Extremely important news for you to know about. Karma, very simply to put, Karma has decided to catch up to Gary Gensler. You see, Gary Gensler has behaved very bad inside the crypto space, where suing companies with no legitimate information. For example, Debitbox, which backfired on the SEC, and they lost 2 lawyers, and that department had to shut down when they lied to a judge. Or, for example, when Gary Gensler, for a very long time, said that essentially the SEC mistakenly said crypto assets or securities. Very recently, a few days ago, the SEC came out and said, oh, for all these years we've been calling crypto assets securities, we didn't really mean it. Instead, what we actually meant was the characteristics around a crypto token make it a security. And it took them this many years to finally say this, which is still wrong as a statement, but it's better than saying directly that token is a security. So it took them this many years to finally say something else, but that statement is still wrong as well. And then we also have the SEC hiring process come up as well, where Gary Gensler is only hiring people as SEC lawyers if they share the same political view as Gary Gensler. Now, in companies, they tend to do this, where they will hire people that have the same political view or the same mindset as them when they're hiring them to work in companies. The issue with hiring SEC lawyers that share the same political views, that share the same mindset of just suing anything into the ground, is a bit of an issue, especially if you're hiring people purposefully to go against cryptocurrencies no matter what. Hence why the SEC had to lose 2 lawyers for lying at Debitbox. So Gary Gensler is coming under fire right now. And the House of Governors is going to be having a sit down with Gary Gensler. They actually sent an open letter to Gary Gensler requesting information about his hiring process, because if it is true, that's essentially manipulating the market space. Gary Gensler, with his hiring process, is manipulating the marketplace, because if he is only hiring people that just want to purposefully sue any crypto project into the ground, no matter what, Debitbox, that's basically market manipulation. So Gary Gensler is under fire for a lot of things right now. But it gets even better, because Karma is genuinely catching up to Gary Gensler's movements. Ex-SEC officials. By the way, it's this month. This month, Gary Gensler is going to be sitting in front of all the House governors alongside CFTC Commissioner Rostam Benham as well, with the SEC Chairman Gary Gensler being there and 2 other commissioners, and the entire House governors are going to be there as well this month. And here is what makes it more interesting. The timing is perfect. Ex-SEC officials to testify against the SEC in crypto hearing. 2 ex-SEC officials are going to be coming out of the woodworks and testifying against the SEC and Gary Gensler. Ex-SEC officials set to testify in the SEC crypto hearing, that's coming up this month, addressing concerns over the agency's political movements and approach to digital assets. These two former SEC members are coming out to talk about all the dirty plays Gary Gensler and the SEC have been doing inside the crypto space in front of Gary Gensler and the House of Governors. Former high-ranking officials, and they're not just random SEC employees in any sort of a way. They're not random SEC employees or low-life SEC employees. They're high-profile SEC employees. Former high-ranking officials of the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, are set to testify in a congressional hearing against the agency. The SEC crypto hearing is titled Dazed and Confused, Breaking Down the SEC's Political Approach to Digital Assets, is what the meeting is called. Scheduled for September 18th, this month, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. These two former high-ranking SEC officials are going to be going up against the SEC and Gary Gensler and laying out all their dirty plays. All their dirty laundry is going to be coming out. Witnesses revealed for SEC crypto hearing. The hearing is being organized by the House of Financial Services Committee, GOP, leadership as a part of its ongoing examination of the SEC's regulatory oversight of crypto. Moreover, this hearing comes at a time of heightened scrutiny over the SEC's actions under its current leadership. Among the witnesses slated to testify are Dan, Chief Legal Officer at Robinhood Markets, and Michael, partner at Quinn Emanuel and Sutherland LLP. A lot of people are going to be testifying against Gary Gensler. Both men have deep ties to the SEC. Gallagher, for example, served as an SEC commissioner from 2011 to 2015. Meanwhile, Lithin was also the deputy chief to staff the former SEC chairman, Mary Jo White, and also worked as a staffer at the agency. Hence, their testimonies are expected to provide valuable insider perspective on how the SEC operates and potentially missteps it has made in regulating digital assets under the leadership of the current SEC chairman, Gary Gensler. The list of witnesses also include Teddy, president of Bitwise, Jennifer, director of financial regulation studies at Cato Institution Center for Monetary and Financial Alternatives. All of these people are going to be going up against Gary Gensler, which is amazing. Furthermore, Lee, a lecturing fellow at Duke University, will testify against the American watchdog as well. Their testimonies inside the SEC crypto congressional hearing will likely explore the broader implications of the agency's enforcement-heavy approach to cryptocurrency regulations. The hearings focus on the SEC's political approach reflects growing dissatisfactions among Republican lawmakers who countered that Gary Gensler's administration has overreached in its regulatory efforts. Gary Gensler under fire right now. The SEC has filed numerous enforcement actions against crypto companies for allegedly violating securities laws, which, by the way, the SEC changed how they say crypto securities now. These acts have drawn criticism from both industry insiders and members of Congress. Moreover, they argue that the agency has been regulating by enforcement rather than issuing clear guidelines on purpose. Hence, Wednesday's SEC crypto hearing, this Wednesday, could prove especially consensual, given the backgrounds of two of its most prominent witnesses that are both former SEC members of high-profiling ranks. Gallagher and Litting are expected to shed light on the internal SEC operations and provide a first-hand accounts of the agency's decision-making process during their tenures. In a parallel development, SEC Chairman Gary Gensler is also facing a probe initiated by the House of Republicans over the agency's hiring process. As I said, Gary Gensler has been essentially manipulating his hiring process, only hiring SEC lawyers that want to forcefully sue crypto projects on purpose. Hence why two of his lawyers were essentially losing their jobs because of debit box. They lost their jobs, and one SEC department had to shut down because of debit box. The hiring process is also being looked into by essentially Republicans as well in this House. Gensler is also expected to testify on Capitol Hill later this month as well, though the exact date on whether the SEC commissioners will join him have yet to be finalized. But what is happening is on the 18th, two former SEC members and a few other people are going to be testifying against Gary Gensler's movements. But what I'm most intrigued about is the two former SEC members, high-profile ranking SEC members, who are going to be coming up against Gary Gensler and just laying out all the dirty laundry that Gary Gensler has been doing by forcefully, essentially suing crypto projects, sometimes with no evidence whatsoever, debit box, or sometimes with the hiring process. But there's so many other things that these two people are going to be coming out with. going against Gary Gensler. Now, I'll tell you this. If Gary Gensler, if Gary Gensler gets pushed too much, and he sees that his back is against the wall, he's definitely going to be singing like a bird somewhere down the line on Senator Elizabeth Warren. I can bet both my lungs on it that if Gary Gensler gets pushed too much and his back's against the wall, somewhere down the line, Gary Gensler is going to be singing like a bird against Senator Elizabeth Warren. Because I feel like if Gary Gensler is going to be taken down, he's not going to be going down alone. He's definitely going to be dragging some people down with him. Just a thought. But this is absolutely amazing news. 18th this month. Gary Gensler is going to be heavily criticized by his former peers. The timing, I mean, it's just immaculate. The timing is absolutely immaculate, and it's nice to see that karma is finally catching up to Gary Gensler. And I'll definitely keep people updated on the matter on this live show. Now, moving on from the Gary Gensler karma situation to Sony. If you don't know, Sony's been inside the crypto space for quite a while now. They've been developing in the background. They've created a crypto project called Sonium. Their token is going to be coming out very soon. Samsung is also working on a crypto project with the same company that helped Sony build their crypto project. And we have an update on Sony's new partnership has just been announced for essentially their crypto project, Sonium. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. But I'm ecstatic to see Gary Gensler, that the karma is finally catching up to Gary Gensler, that his former peers are coming out to speak against him. That's what we needed. We needed somebody from the SEC, high profile ranking, and it's beautiful to see two people are coming out of the SEC talking against Gary Gensler, the movements of how the SEC operates in essentially enforcement actions on suing anything to the ground, and how it's a regulatory overreach is what they're stating. The businessman are the ones fine. Yeah, I read that one. Of course, but I think everybody in this chat knows that. And if you don't know, Trump is just very. Trump is a guy. Trump is a business guy. Trump is the only person that can run this country because he's a business guy. The rest are. I'm not gonna say the word. You can put it in my. Okay, I mean, there's just one weirdo inside the comment section. I said this before and I'll say it again. I mean, if you're going to put weird comments down, thinking you look cool, you just look like a desperate virgin. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you're the type of person that's going to come into anybody's live or, you know, anybody doing anything and you put weird comments down, you don't look cool in any sort of a way. You just look like a desperate virgin. So if I was you, stop. Because putting comments like that, I mean, you just look pathetic. I mean, you genuinely look like a desperate virgin. Is that the look you want to give to the rest of the world? You look like a desperate virgin for putting weird comments down? Happy Pisces, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Miles, isn't it amazing since I've been born that only one certain businessman with only 4 years in power ran a country with such ease and peace and accomplished so much? Yep, facts. Gary does not have Joe Biden with him anymore. So everybody's going to put them on the bus. Yeah, it's true. Joe Biden is obviously not all there. And Joe Biden was the one protecting Gary Gensler for a while. He, for example, released, Joe Biden said he will veto anybody that goes against Gary Gensler for the SAB Act, which is for the Banking Act, where the banks aren't allowed to hold too many cryptocurrencies and so on. But yeah, Joe Biden's not all there anymore, so yeah, he's not protecting Gary Gensler. Gary will go into witness protection and will be labeled as the super grass. Hello, Miles of CMF. Tanner, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Some people are twisted. Yep. Facts. Zippy, good to see you. How you doing? I think Ripple should sue SEC and Gary for preventing them in the last 2 bull runs. Let's not go back to the suing of Ripple. Leave that one out of it. Now, Sony. Okay, I'm going to say it. Try to look at things 99% of the time at high-level perspectives. Gary was told to do this lawsuit. Good excuse to keep the price low. No excitement in XRP. Is also a perspective as well to consider. Is also a perspective to consider. Keep the retail out as much as possible until the infrastructure was ready. That's also a perspective as well. Here's the thing. I get the perspective on the matter of, because we've talked about this on this live show as well before, a very long time ago. We talked about it regarding what Happy Pisces is saying. Okay, I'm getting to say to try to look at things 99% of the time, level perspective. Gary was told this to do this lawsuit against Ripple to slow down Ripple's essentially advancements and so on. And I fully get that perspective. And I have also talked about that perspective. And I consider it as an outcome regarding Ripple. But Gary's other movements regarding debit box, regarding Kraken, regarding Coinbase, giving Coinbase an IPO and then suing it, or suing Kraken on the basis they're selling securities, but then changing it a week later and defining securities as something else, or suing debit box by telling a judge that debit box is sending people's assets across the border. And in reality, they never were. And the judge, froze debit box's bank accounts and realized later on that there's no evidence in any sort of a way that debit box is using other people's assets, sending abroad. So here's the thing. I fully understand the perspective regarding, Gary Gensler might be the one chosen to stifle Ripple's movements. Fully get that. They were chosen to, stifle Ripple's movements. And I've also always considered that as one outcome. I consider multiple outcomes, established outcomes, and that's one of them regarding Gary Gensler. But the other movements Gary Gensler has done, excluding Ripple's case, because he was maybe chosen to stifle it, the other movements he's done make zero sense. Suing Coinbase, regarding giving them an IPO and then suing them into the ground, regarding debit box, lying to a judge on purpose, and then had to fire 2 SEC lawyers, pay a fine, and a department in the SEC had to be shut down. Suing Kraken, change the world of security to something else. So he's done so many dodgy behaviors inside the crypto space that maybe we could put that Ripple case on one side and say, well, he was there, chosen to stifle it. But what about the rest? What about the rest of the movements of Gary Gensler, hiring people on purpose just so they have the same mindset as him to sue anything that's in the crypto space into the ground? Or the debit box. There's so many scenarios where Gary Gensler has overstepped. Putting aside the Ripple scenario of maybe he was chosen as a stifle creation. And we've talked about the matter of, Ripple goes around and tells every other country that, the US is against them before they sit down at a table deal. For example, when Ripple sat down with Saudi Arabia, this is coming from Brad himself on a news channel. Brad said, when I sat down with Saudi Arabians, I said to them that we're being sued and investigated by the US and the SEC and that they were against us and that the Ripple is moving outside the country. So I get that movement. It's the other ones. It's the other ones of suing a random crypto project like debit box on a lie. All the other movements is the ones I don't get. The Ripple one I could get behind it, because there's a lot of political rigged movements. But the other one is a bit of an issue. I think Ripple, yeah, okay, no, I was here. The politicians and President Trump is not a politician. Keep the retail as much as possible into infrastructure, which I fully get. I'm with you, Happy Pisces. Me and JP were talking about this a while ago. Well, maybe he is now, but he never used to be. And in a strange way, that's okay. We still have to wait at least a few years for infrastructure and partnerships to ramp up. And I topped up. Let's go, Happy Pisces. Nothing major will happen to Gary Gensler. Nothing. Maybe Gary's relationship with FTX might be exposed to. Also, Gary Gensler's relationship with FTX could be exposed to. Many times, Gary Gensler was asked about documentations or what was discussed between him and Sam Beckman, and Gary Gensler rejected to show that information. As far as hiring people, he has a human resources team doing that. He'll hide behind that most likely. And Elizabeth Warren. Good night, Miles of CMF. Thank you for the news. As always, great life. See you guys tomorrow. JP, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Okay, moving on from the Gary Gensler situation to Sony. Sony partners with another crypto project. Sony partners with this altcoin. Integration completed. Ethereum Layer 2 solution, Sonium, is gaining momentum with a significant new partnership, Circle. Circle and Sony Blockchain Solutions Labs have integrated USDC into Sonium platform, aiming to offer cross-border payments, transactions, and digital dollar payments to both users and developers. This strategic collaboration is expected to bolster Sonium support for Web3 ecosystem as well as empower the creativity economy. Sonium, a USDC Street partnership, Circle, the US-based issuer of stablecoins USDC, is partnering with Sony Blockchain Solutions Labs, the blockchain infrastructure arm of Sony Group. Last August, Sony Blockchain Solutions Labs introduced Sonium, a layer 2 platform built on Ethereum, which quickly gathered attention. Now their partnerships with USDC is also being integrated to Sonium, enabling seamless digital payments and cross-border transactions. This integration will allow Sonium to utilize bridged USDC as a primary value token with its ecosystem, unlocking new opportunities for users of listing international transactions. Additionally, the integration is expected to enhance the functionalities of decentralized applications, DApps, by leveraging USDC's core features and benefits on Layer 2 network developers. Developers will also be able to utilize USDC stability, while users will be able to benefit from more smoother digital dollar payments within the Sony ecosystem. Circle and Sony's contribution to Web3 ecosystem. Circle's co-founder and CEO, Jeremy, expressed his excitement about the partnership, stating, "This collaboration marks a significant milestone in our mission to accelerate the adoption of stablecoins and blockchain technology. We aim to help creators thrive through secure and user-friendly Web3 experiences." His statements reinforces Circle's commitment to expanding the use of blockchain technology and supporting the creative economy. John, the president of Sony Block Solutions Labs, added that the integration of Circle's financial infrastructure with Sonium will redefine digital entertainment and finance. That this highlights the potential for Sonium to bring groundbreaking innovation to both industries. Beyond the integration of bridged USDC, Sonium has also hinted at the possibility of future updates with native USDC issuance. This move aligns with Sonium's broader efforts to accelerate its growth in the Web3 space. Partners supporting the Sonium launch include Astro Network, Chainlink, ACH, Optimize, The Graph, all key players inside the blockchain sector that are helping Sonium, which is Sony's blockchain. Additionally, fiat payments will be integrated into the network through partnerships with Transact, further expanding Sonium's ecosystem. This street collaboration reflects Sonium's commitment to expanding and enhancing the Web3 landscape. So, if anybody's interested regarding Sony, which is their blockchain project Sonium, if you're interested in that crypto project, you can now enter it with USDC when obviously they do open their doors for purchase, which is great. But Sony has said that they're going to be keeping their blockchain gaming based. So if you're inside the crypto space and you love gaming inside the crypto space, they said they're going to keep it more towards gaming and developers and content creators rather than any other market space out there. So if you're into that space, if you're into that crypto sector, where into gaming, into developers, into content creation, Sony's blockchain could be something for you to look into when they do open their doors. And I'll obviously keep you updated on this live show every single night if you tune in. Now, moving on from Sonium to crypto enthusiasts. Regarding crypto enthusiasts and politicians uniting for support in Bitcoin in Wisconsin. The Americans loves crypto. Tour arrived in Wisconsin, drawing over 200 Bitcoin and cryptocurrency enthusiasts to Red Rocks Salon in Milwaukee. The event provided a platform for attendees to engage with supportive politicians while seeking answers to questions. How can we support Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies on Capitol Hill? Wisconsin State Retirement Fund invests in Bitcoin, which is factual. Wisconsin's retirement fund has actually invested into Bitcoin ETFs. How do we know this? According to the S1 filings from the SEC. In May, for example, the Wisconsin State Investment Board made a groundbreaking move by purchasing a Bitcoin ETF worth $162 million, becoming the first state pension fund inside the US to invest into Bitcoin. Dom, the founder of Proof of Workforce and Santa Monica Firefighters, also noted that this action could serve as a model for other funds. There's actually quite a lot of US departments that are buying Bitcoin ETFs, believe it or not. Dom, for example, the Wisconsin retirement system is quite healthy and almost 100% funded. Very few pension funds achieve this, and they are one of the 10, and they are one of the 10 largest inside the country. Bemi also emphasized that Bitcoin is present as an opportunity not only for risk managers and Wall Street experts, but also for restructuring American cities for the benefit of the paid workers. The bipartisan support for cryptocurrencies. So at this blockchain event that was happening essentially for Wisconsin side, it wasn't just the retail section, it was also CEOs and some board members and politicians attended this. Both Republican and Democratic politicians attended this event. Washington's county executive Josh stated that cryptocurrencies signify prosperity for average Americans. Milwaukee City Council member Peter highlighted the importance of cryptocurrencies and urged voters to participate in elections. Josh, he said, I focus on delivering the American dream to American citizens. Cryptocurrencies represent that all for all of us. Peter, who's also a politician, Josh and Peter, both politicians, cryptocurrencies is important and your vote is valuable. Get out and vote. Bitcoin representatives, democracy and transparency. Independent state candidate Phil Anderson noted that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are rare issues that can transact party lines. He argued that the current government system has lost its representation in terms of the ability that's for supporting the people, supporting the dollar, and that Bitcoin can make the government more transparent and accountable. Phil Anderson will no longer have a representative government. Lobbyists are writing the laws, and the bipartisan support forces representatives to vote in certain ways. Anderson emphasized the importance of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in both technological and electoral senses for representatives' democracy, and his campaign slogan, "Disrupt the corruption," is what his campaign slogan is. Disrupt the corruption. The next stop for the American Loves Crypto tour will be in Philadelphia, followed by events in Washington, D.C., and attendees can register for free events on the Stand with Crypto website. So if you do want to attend these Love for Crypto events, you can essentially register yourself through Stand with Crypto website. It's completely free to attend these crypto events that are coming up in different states inside the United States. You can just turn up. There's going to be executive people there, board members, CEOs, politicians, and they're all pro-crypto, talking about crypto advancements and so on. In summary, the broad-based support for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies observed in Wisconsin may play a significant role in shaping policies related to the sector. Investments from public pension funds, along with Patton's political participation, signal that cryptocurrencies could see a greater adoption in the future. The shared interest of voters and politicians may be crucial in transforming financial innovation into social benefit. So if you are part, if you do want to attend some crypto events and it does happen to be in your city, just go to the website of Stand with Crypto and you can see what you want to go for. Now, in terms of the events and book your events, completely free to attend. Moving on from the crypto events that are happening inside the United States that anybody can pretty much attend to, alongside politicians and CEOs, to Bank of International Settlements. This is quite major news regarding Bank of International Settlements. But before we go through that, let's go start the conversation first. Let's see where we were. Maybe Gary gets read that one. As far as hiring people, you see Roses, read that one too. And Elizabeth Warren, good night, I read that one too. JPC, don't represent as usual, room full of politicians. I ordered another tangent using a discount code, but it's coming from Slovenia, according to Royal Mail. The first one came from Switzerland. Is it the same thing? Yes. If you're ordering a Tangent wallet and it comes from Slovenia, that's okay. It does get shipped from Slovenia sometimes. It gets shipped from Switzerland. It gets shipped from Taiwan sometimes, and sometimes Hong Kong. So if you do order a Tangent wallet and then you're seeing some random countries shipping your Tangent wallet, as long as you order from the Tangent website or Tangent app itself, then don't worry. My one, they do come from Slovenia or Taiwan sometimes, or Vietnam, depending on where you are around the world. Now, so no, don't worry. Hi, Miles, the CMF family. Is it time to turn on my CMF TV, even for a short, because I'm late? Sorry about it, but I'm still benefiting about your news and based on facts. Let's go, Carl. How you doing? Carl, perfect timing, because we're talking about the Bank of International Settlements. 41 companies joined the Bank of International Settlements project, Argo, to advance unified ledger applications. The Bank for International Settlements project Argo has progressed to the design stage with the onboarding of 41 private financial firms. The project launched in April by the Bank of International Settlements and 7 central banks is looking at how tokenized commercial bank deposits can be integrated with tokenized wholesale central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, on a single platform. Now, when everybody talks about tokenized assets, a lot of people in the crypto space just assume tokenized assets just applies to every other ordinary crypto asset. But what you don't know is the Bank of International Settlements has been working for a long time on CBDC tokenized assets, where CBDCs are going to be the ones backing the tokenized assets and purchasing them and transferring them and trading them. The regulated private sector participants include Visa and MasterCard, SWIFT, the Swiss Six Digital Exchange, Japan's Monex Group financial services firm, clearing companies, and a host of large banks. The Institution of International Finance, a financial services trade group, was chosen to convene the private participants, which responded to a call for participation issued in May, aiming for more efficient transactions. Project Argo is now the largest Bank of International Settlements project in terms of participants. The private sector members joined the Bank of France, representing the Euro system, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of Korea, the Bank of Mexico, the Swiss National Bank, the Bank of England, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Project Argo addresses structural efficiencies in the existing international payment system by appealing the unified ledger concept developed by the Bank of International Settlements. It focuses on customer verification and anti-money launderings in particular, as those steps are often now carried out repeatedly by intermediaries in a transaction. The Bank of International Settlements said in a statement, the project will investigate how tokenized commercial bank deposits can be seamlessly integrated with tokenized wholesale CBDCs in a public and private programmable core financial platform. Showing off the unified ledger, describing the unified ledger as the Bank of International Settlements envisions it, the Bank of International Settlements head, Augustine, said that in a presentation back in 2023 that unified ledger would be open architecture with programmability and customizability. CBDC and tokenized deposits would exist in portioned sections of the ledger with a smart contracts facilitating their interactions. Multiple unified ledgers could interact with each other. The project participants are also tasked with identifying legal and regulatory issues, gaps among 7 jurisdictions represented as they affect tokenization and CBDC. Project Argo is expected to run until the end of 2025, when a final report will be released. So that is from the Bank of International Settlements regarding the matter of which banks are involved, which organizations involved. Now, they didn't name every single private company that's a part of the Bank of International Settlements out of the 41 companies that are involved. They didn't name it on the article. They only named some of the centralized banks out of the 41 and some of the institutions, or some of the crypto companies. Actually, they didn't name much except centralized banks and a few other institutional platforms. But you can see their progress is happening quite heavily. But what I'm more intrigued about is informing everyone, once again, that regarding tokenized assets, it's not all what it seems. Tokenized assets are not just going to be for ordinary cryptocurrencies. You know, for example, tokenized assets on Chainlink, or tokenized assets on AVAX, or tokenized assets on Ethereum, or so on. They're also working on CBDC, wholesale CBDC tokenized assets. And as I've said multiple times, there are 24,000 crypto projects, 24,000 crypto projects plus 24,000 plus crypto projects. And out of all those projects, there's only one platform that has an active CBDC platform. Out of all of those 24,000 crypto projects, there's only one crypto project that has an active CBDC platform that since day one worked alongside banks, is on the PDF document for the Bank of International Settlements, tied to cross-border payments, public information, and has won multiple CBDC awards. And that's Ripple. And that part's just common sense. 24,000 crypto projects and only one has an active CBDC platform or CBDC awards. And they're working on wholesale CBDC tokenized assets. Bank of International Settlements, which Ripple is also part of one of their public documentations, which is cross-border payments. Now, moving on from that one, moving on from the Bank of International Settlements news, which was quite major regarding their movements so far, to this, Linux. Linux is a software, a computer software. It can also be a phone software as well. They dabbled with it for a while. Linux pretty much is a competitor, you could say, to Microsoft, a competitor to Apple Mac OS, and so on. And Linux has been doing quite well for itself recently. Now, why am I bringing up Linux. Why am I bringing up a computer software? What's the relevance of computer software Linux to, for example, crypto assets? Well, there's a big situation going on, which is this. Linux debuts decentralized trust with Hedera, HBAR, and 100 plus members. Now, the members aren't retail section members. So Linux Foundation has created a trust as an umbrella organization for open source decentralized ecosystems. The Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust, LFDT, debuts with over 100 members, including the members of the Hyperledger Foundation, so Bank of International Settlements, the Hyperledger Foundation, Hedera, and 13 more new members. So when Linux is making this announcement saying we've partnered with Hedera, we've partnered with 100 plus members, not 100 people, 100 organizations. And Hedera is a part of it, and a lot more, but they're not revealing it. Hedera is a primary member of the trust joining Akaja, DTCC, and Hitachi, and at those levels. Hedera contributed to its entire source code, including its hashgraph consensus algorithm, to the LFDT, where it will be known as the Project Hero. Hedera's source code governance will be transferred to the Linux Foundation, and while the Hedera Council will be retaining operational governance of the network, a powerful mix of technologies. Another new member of the LFDT, Wallet as a Service Provider, DFNS, contribute to its key management systems to the trust. It will be known as Project Lockness. DFNS said on X on a tweet, although MPC multiple party computation holds great promise, its adoption has been slow due to the lack of trusted standards and industry cautions. Lockness aims to change that. We're creating the first ever trusted and compliant open source crypto ecosystem designed to meet the needs and standards of regulated industries like finance. It continued. Linux Foundation General Manager of Decentralized Technologies and Executive Director of LFDT, Daniel Borsa, said in a statement, we are launching with a powerful mix of ledger, identity, crypto ecosystems, interoperability, implementation projects, and diverse committed membership base. Our mission is to drive collective innovation that delivers transparency, reliability, security, efficiency on a global scale. Linux apparently is coming back into the scene, and their downloads have increased against Microsoft and Apple Mac OS. Obviously not to a large scale, they're still dominating the space, but Linux is climbing that ladder in terms of user base and now being pretty much under the, you can say up to a certain extent, Linux is now part of the Bank of International Settlements in terms of the Hyperledger Foundation being one of their members, also Hedera being one of their members. Hashgraph, Banco Central do Brazil, and Polygon also among the new members as well. They're not revealing the rest. Linux is not revealing all of their 100 plus members. They're revealing some regarding Polygon, regarding Hashgraph, regarding, and essentially one other, in terms of banks, in terms of the Hyperledger. LFDF has many projects. Hyperledger, BSUS, which will hereafter be simply known as BSUS, is the third most popular execution client for Ethereum mainnet. It powers the project mBridge, Central Bank Digital Currency CBDC Bridge, and Brazilian Central Bank Strix Wholesale CBDC project, among other things. Also, the Hyperledger's Fabric 3.0 platform version was introduced. Among the upgrades that is incorporates a new consensus mechanisms called the Benzene Fault Torrent Holding Service. So that is crazy, unbelievably crazy, because Linux was pretty much a software that was out of the scene for a very long time. I mean, developers sometimes use Linux, and people who are into hacking, you could say, would probably use Linux. Or white hat hackers, and they're more comfortable using Linux. But apparently, Linux is becoming the computer software, the number one computer software known to crypto platforms. So if you hold HBAR, Hedera, for example, I mean, they just partnered with, they've been doing the background codes for Linux. Apparently, HBAR has been doing it. Hedera's Foundation has been doing it. Polygon has been a part of it. Some centralized banks are part of it. mBridge, you could say, is also part of now. The Bank of International Settlements mBridge project is also part of the Linux software, computer software right now. So it's crazy because it was a computer software that was pretty much out the scene, and now it's coming back into the scene with some big heavy hitters alongside it. Bank of International Settlements, Hyperledger Foundation, I mean, Hedera, or Polygon, or I mean, I'll post this inside a Telegram group as well. I will post this inside a Telegram group of this live show as well. Now, moving on from the Linux news, which is positive news for if anybody's holding HBAR, for example, massively positive news over time, to this. El Salvador's president. El Salvador's president is going to be doing. Sorry, I just read that comment from Ghostpoint. El Salvador's president is going to be achieving something that no president has been able to achieve for a very long time. We could say some presidents or some prime ministers have never been able to achieve, which is this. Actually, before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. By the way, this is a live show. If you have any comments, go for it inside the comment section. Can you please put that link of the Bike of Potential News? I can. I put the link inside Telegram, no problem. I will DM you if we don't chat tonight. We'll chat tomorrow. JP, no problem, brother. Good night, brother Miles and the rest of the CMF family. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Funky brother, see you tomorrow sometimes, usually as well. And can't show them up yet. Anyone watching, if your questions are not appearing on here, you're on a fake account. Okay, El Salvador. El Salvador's president to present a debt-free budget for 2025. El Salvador's president is going to be achieving something quite incredible. He's pretty much, as of now, and for a while now, he's the #1 president for any president to look up to. I announced, this is what he said. He said, I announced that this September 30th, we will present before the Legislative Assembly, for the first time in decades, the first fully financed budget, without the need to take a single cent of debt for current spending, said Bucco, essentially the president of El Salvador, during the commission of 203 years of El Salvador's independence. El Salvador will no longer spend more money than it produces annually, he continued. We will not even lend money to pay the interest on the debts that we inherited. We will even pay that from our own production. El Salvador is not going to be printing any money whatsoever, by the looks of it. They're not going to be printing any sort of money anymore. El Salvador is not going to be borrowing money, lending money to anyone. They're going to be paying off their debts without printing extra money, without essentially borrowing money from other nations, is what they're actually doing. A robust economy and a truly independent country will be seen, he said, not only because it is more freedom and security, but because it will be financially independent, physically independent, he added. The new generations will inherit a better, prospering country. El Salvador's finance minister detailed that it will be the first time in decades the country will have the budget that will not issue a single cent of debt, neither local or foreign. The president of El Salvador has an overwhelming majority of the Legislative Assembly, with 57 out of 60 total seats among legislators from his party, 54-3. The 2024 budget gap was around $338 million on total spendings of $9.1 billion. According to an official announcement published by Assembly, the budget deficiency when the president of El Salvador took place back in 2019 was around $1.2 billion. El Salvador is unable to print money to fund expenditures because in 2001, it imposed the US dollar as a legal tender. The country famously added Bitcoin as legal tender in 2021. This is where it gets interesting. The reason why El Salvador is not going to be borrowing money or lending money to anyone, or essentially paying their debts off by printing more money and so on, is because their backing is going to be Bitcoin. Although there are no official documents on El Salvador's Bitcoin purchases, the website NIBI Tracker, which is set up by them, which put together a portfolio based on the president of El Salvador's announcements, shows that Central American countries hold roughly about 5,874 Bitcoins, a total value of $331.4 million, which represents an unrealized gain of 32.6% or $43 million. Bucco's last month acknowledged that Bitcoin hasn't had the widespread adoption we hoped for. It could have worked better, and there is still some time to make some improvements, but it hasn't resulted in anything negative. Back in August, the International Monetary Fund announced that it had a different discussion with Salvadorian authorities, and progress has been made in negotiations towards fund-supported programs focused on policies to strengthen policy finances, boost banks' reserves buffers, and improve governance and transparencies, and mitigate the risk from Bitcoin. So El Salvador's president is going to be doing something absolutely amazing. If what he's stating is no more printing money in El Salvador, paying off our debts, using our own money, and using backings from Bitcoin, it's amazing if he's going to be doing that. Now, this doesn't mean he's going to be selling his Bitcoin, but it is an outcome. He might decide to sell their Bitcoin to pay off their debts. It's an outcome to consider. The other outcome is he might just use it as, he's saying they won't be borrowing or lending, but he could also just use the Bitcoin they have as collateral to borrow against their Bitcoin assets, pay off their debts, and then pay off the new debt. But that's just going to cause another issue. So there's two outcomes. He's either has money stashed somewhere nobody knows about regarding El Salvador's president, or he's going to be selling off his Bitcoin assets to pay off their country's debts. Now, we don't essentially officially know how much El Salvador owns either. We don't know officially how much Bitcoin El Salvador has. We can estimate based on profile trackers and so on. We can estimate how much they have. But we don't know up to a certain extent of accurately how much Bitcoin El Salvador holds. And El Salvador is not going to be borrowing money or lending money or printing money to pay their debts off. Then they have to get the money from somewhere. And they already have one specific asset. It's quite a large amount of it, which is Bitcoin. So is El Salvador planning to sell their Bitcoins off to pay their debts? Is an outcome to consider, not the outcome. But he said he wants to create a better country for the next generation with no debt as they progress forward. Now, the next news is regarding the yen. But before we go through that, let's go start the conversation first. Regarding the US dollar and the yen, which is quite a vital information as well. We have for a lot of vital information. Let's go start the comment section first. 1 out of 3, there is a problem that was not expected. It has to do with buying crypto in the UK. Sorry, it seems basic. I used Wire TransferWise, but things have changed. Can I ask the question based on your time? Sure, go for it, Zippy. What's your question? Anyone watching, if your questions are not appearing on here, you're fit. Yep. I actually feel bad for the word. Miles, HBAR seems like it's going to be big with all these contracts they are having. Yes, HBAR is going to be big. I mean, right now, being a part of essentially Linux across 100 of the members, 100 of the financial institutions, that's a big play right there. Miles, can you read the comments on YouTube because it comes across quicker on X, please? Yes, I can. I'm not. The thing is, on my screen, I'm reading it as it comes. In other words, my screen is mixed with YouTube and X comments. So I'm just reading it one by one. So if there's a YouTube comment, I'm reading this, and an X might be under it. I'm reading X, and YouTube, XX. So it's just how it plays out as how I'm reading it. 2 out of 3 Wise said that we can't support transfers to Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies directly or indirectly, so we don't support payments for the purpose of purchasing cryptocurrencies, even if we only have an indirect role in transactions. But you can receive money to your Wise account from a platform that deals with Bitcoin or in the cryptocurrency, as long as the platform is regulated or supervised by the EU or UK. In the UK, we can in the UK, one can be terminated by their bank if caught sending funds directly from a major such high street banks in the UK. What does a bother do now? Sorry to bother everyone. So Zippy, you're having issues with buying cryptocurrencies through Wise. Wise, the banking app. Revolut. There's option B for you. You can use Revolut if you wanted to. You can genuinely use Revolut. They're a lot more crypto friendly because they offer crypto assets themselves. I'm not saying directly buy crypto assets for Revolut if you don't want to, but you can use Revolut to buy crypto assets from third parties. So change banks. Or was the question based on your assets are frozen on Wise right now? Is your money frozen on Wise? Then that's a different scenario. But if your money's not frozen on Wise and you're just looking for another option B on how to go for crypto assets, you can use Revolut as a crypto friendly bank to even use it for third party buying. Not financial advice in any sort of a way at all. Okay. No problem, Zippy. Yen. The Chinese yen. Not frozen. Gotcha. Sorry. Okay. The yen. No, did I say Chinese? Japanese. The yen surges to one-year high against the dollar ahead of the Fed meeting, which is this Friday. The yen surged to its highest levels in a year, pushing the dollar into a corner as the market braces for potential bombshell from the Federal Reserve tomorrow. Investors are betting big that the Fed might pull unexpected moves and deliver a far more aggressive cut than widely expected, the 25 basis points. Right now, the dollar is down 0.10%, trading at 140.69. 690 yen. This has rattled the futures markets, which now predicts a 61% chance of a 50 basis point cut, up from the 15% last week. Markets getting edgy. Treasury yields are plummeting. US Treasury yields are sliding fast. Over the last 2 weeks, the 10-year yields have fallen by 30 basis points. On Monday, for example, the 2-year Treasury yields, more directly tied to the Fed's policies, dropped another 2.5 basis points, landing at a 3.55.09%. After the sitting at 3.94% just 2 weeks ago. The DXY, which essentially tracks the greenback against the 6 major currencies, dropped 0.29% to 173. Other currencies took advantage of the dollar's weakness as well. The British pounds, for example, jumped up 0.64% to $1.32, and the euro climbed 0.42%, hitting a 1.11 cents. Marco Chandler, the chief market strategist at the Global Forex, said most of this action is the result of speculation of the Fed's next movements. The market was cool with 25 basis points hike, but now the idea of a 50 basis points cut is fueling these swings. Look, with this coming up regarding the Fed rate cuts, because it's a big issue inside the crypto space, not just for the crypto space, but it's a big issue for the crypto space, the stock market space, in general for the world market regarding the US and their rate cut situation. As the Bank of International Settlements put it a very long time ago, if the US markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold, which is factual. If the US markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold. Very factual. So regarding the US rate cut situation, if it's too harsh, it could go very sideways. So right now, the dollar is slightly weak. The market is reacting heavily. The crypto markets are all over the place. The stock market is all over the place because everybody's just anticipating what is the Fed going to do? Are they going to be extending again? Are they going to be doing rate cuts? Are they going to be aggressive or normal? So if you're wondering, why is the crypto market all over the place slightly? Why is the stock market all over the place? Why is the market in general all over the place? Fed rate cuts. It's not a big issue right now. Obviously, putting a Fed rate cuts to one side as well, we have geopolitical tensions going on, which adds to more of the market situation. But the Fed rate cuts is what we can handle. Geopolitical tensions is something that could just spiral out of nowhere. So all eyes also on the Bank of Japan, because Japan owns a lot of money, owns in terms of the US dollar. Investors are also keeping a close eye on the Bank of Japan, which is set to announce its own interest rate decisions on Friday. While the Bank of Japan is expected to keep its short-term policy rate unchanged at 0.25%, the narrowing gap between the US and the Japanese interest rates have pushed the yen higher. This has triggered billions of dollars in unwinding yen-funded carry trades. The bank has already raised rates twice this year, and some of its board members want to raise them even higher. The market is pricing in the likelihood of more of Bank of Japan's moves down the road, said Chandler. Meanwhile, the European Union, ECB, the European Centralized Bank, cuts its interest rates by 25 basis points last week, but the ECB president, Christian Lagarde, has made it clear that another cut isn't coming anytime soon. Peter, the member of the ECB's governing council, said the bank should wait until December before making another rate cut to avoid a policy mistake. Is a soft landing incoming? The Fed's rate decision comes at a time when inflation has been steadily cooling. Inflation hit a peak of 9.1% in June 2020, back in June 2022, but has since dropped to about 2.5% as of August, bringing it closer to the Fed's long-term target of 2%. The slowdown in inflation is partly due to the improved supply chains, which had been wrecked by the pandemic and Russian-Ukraine conflict. As these pressures eased, prices for goods dropped. Consumers are also switching back to their pre-pandemic spending patterns with a better focus on service over goods. The unemployment rate stands around 3.6%, at the lowest it's been in over 5 decades. Job growth has been steady with 43% straight months of employment gains. The economy is humming along with GDP growth, averaging 2.9% since December 2020. For the third quarter of 2024, analysts expect growth to clock in around 2.5%. Mortgage rates have peaked at 7.2% in May 2024, but have since came down to about 6.2%, giving home buyers some relief. The drop in mortgage rates has increased the purchasing power for buyers by about $70,000 for the same monthly payment compared to last year. But oil prices are heating up again. Hurricane and that situation disrupted productions in the Gulf of Mexico, during oil prices by 2% as of September 16th. If this trend continues, consumers could feel the pinch at the pump. For now, gasoline prices in many states are below $3 per gallon, offering a bit of relief to drivers despite the spike in oil prices, and consumer confidence remains strong with spendings staying steady. So on paper, the US economy is booming on paper. Reality, much more different scenario. Same goes with every country. With every country right now, on paper, their economy is booming. I mean, the UK comes out with a study paper. They say the UK is doing great, and groceries are, prices, jobs are high, and groceries are down, gas is down, and the electrics are down. In reality, different scenario. Same goes with any other country right now. Every country that's coming out with their paperwork is suggesting that the economy is doing 10 times better. The issue is the numbers don't match up to reality at all. The numbers do not match up to the reality we're all living in. Now, a lot of people will take these numbers as gospel. I've said it before. A lot of people will take these numbers as gospel, as they're genuine. They must be, because they're coming out of so on and so on, or rating agencies based out of Wall Street are doing these numbers, so they must be accurate, which is a lot of BS. As I said previously, the 2008 crash of the big bubble of real estate that pretty much took down not just the US markets but around the world, that 2008 recession scenario, a rating agency that everybody on Wall Street trusts, and everybody on Wall Street still trust, Moody's, they played around with the numbers, which is tend to what they do. They play around with numbers. So on paper, it will suggest something, and in reality, something else is happening. Where Moody's played around with the numbers and said the economy is doing great, and in reality, it was doing terrible, and they knew it was doing terrible, but they lied and played around with the numbers, and everybody on Wall Street listens to Moody's rating systems, and then we had a 2008 massive crash. Even though they saw it coming, they still played around with the numbers and lied to make the economy look pumped up. So when it comes to numbers like this from rating agencies, and these are established rating agencies, not just some corner shop, it's not just some small company, small firm that's coming up with ratings of the economy. No, these are established Wall Street. Wall Street heads listen to these rating agencies with regard to Moody's and so on. And they lie. Purposefully, they lie on purpose. And they say sometimes the economy is doing great when in reality it isn't. And it's not just me just babbling out BS. I'm basing on facts. If you look at Moody's ratings back in 2008, they said everything is great. And what happened in 2008? Yeah. So regarding these numbers, yeah, they play around with the numbers sometimes, just to keep that in mind. So don't take data that's coming out of Wall Street regarding the economy or rating agencies or so on. Don't take it as gospel, because the reality doesn't match up to the numbers sometimes. But they want you to think the economy is doing better. They want you to think that everything is cheap. And in reality, is it? Just think to yourself. They're telling you the economy is doing better. They're telling you mortgages are down. They're telling you gas is down. They're telling you electrics is down. They're telling you groceries are cheap. They're telling you you can afford everything you want right now because everything is cheap. But is it? Because the documentations, according to the numbers, everything's perfect. There's no issues. Houses are cheap. Gas is cheap. Electricity is cheap. Groceries is cheap. According to the paper, according to the data, everything's cheap. But is it? Yeah, they play around with the numbers when it suits them best. And sometimes playing around with the numbers makes a bubble burst like 2008. Pretty much everything is a lie. Simpler way to put it. Everything is a lie. Just always, have that mindset. don't just be blinded and read and go, well, they're telling me the economy is good, so the economy should be good. No. Now, moving on. Facts. Fact, will you use trash? Facts. Brother, I sent you a DM on the link. I'll check it out. Come on, no problem. They create this situation until the bubble bursts, and in the end, we pay the price, which is facts. All fake data to help the goldfish swim in choppy waters. Yeah, facts. What Happy Pisces said. All fake data to help the goldfish swim in choppy waters. Now, if you're confused about that sentence that Happy Pisces has made regarding goldfish and choppy waters, basically, I have a name for all politicians. You know, I have a nickname for politicians. I mean, the most given one is Sleepy Joe, Joe Biden. Everybody knows that one. I call, for example, Kamala Harris Goldfish Kamala, if you're wondering. So I call Kamala Harris Goldfish Kamala because she shares the exact same brain cells as a goldfish. So regarding that matter of, regarding how Pisces is saying, all fake data to help the goldfish swim in choppy waters, which is factual. Obviously, they're going to lie to you during presidential times. You know, the economy is doing great. You know, they can't come out and tell you the economy is terrible because it's voting time. They've got to make the economy look good. Because if they come out and tell you the reality, where groceries are high, gas is high, electrics is high, you can't afford a house, inflation is through the roof, they printed too much, they don't know what to do with it, and they're funding random events, they can't tell you all of that. That's not the data that people want to hear. In reality, it should be the data people want to hear, but that's not what, you know, people should be hearing. The data people should be hearing during voting time is economy is great, gas is down, everybody can afford a house, no issues, boosting economy, and so on. That's what they want. It's all about the happy ending. You know, everybody wants to hear that. You know, when the movie ends and it's that, you know, Disney ending and so on. That's what everybody wants just to hear. So, you know, on that, that's all they care about. They just want to tell you everything's doing brilliant because it's voting season. Miles, you are so on the ball after a long day and so late in the evening. Let's go, Happy Pisces. So moving on from the all fake data to help the goldfish swim in choppy waters to Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is an incredibly intelligent and wealthy man, to put it in the most simplest way. And he's raising back-to-back, genuinely back-to-back, more money to buy more Bitcoin, no matter what the price is. This man is buying Bitcoin no matter what the Bitcoin, just in perspective matter, Bitcoin could be sitting at $100,000. Michael Saylor's buying. He's not buying cheap. He's buying, you know, $50 million worth of Bitcoin or $100 million of Bitcoin. This man's buying Bitcoin any price is sitting. Michael Saylor, because his previous purchase was around 500 and something million, so 62 million dollars he spent. Michael Saylor spent, and he was buying Bitcoin at $60,000, $60,200, $60,300, $6,400. He couldn't care less. He was buying $500 million worth of it. Instant purchase. So Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy plans another $700 million convertible note issuance. That's all he does. Nasdaq listed Bitcoin development firm MicroStrategy, MSTR. Do you know what's interesting? While people are trying to figure out, honestly, while the retail section is trying to figure out, should I buy this crypto asset? It's too expensive. Or should I buy that crypto asset? It's too expensive. Or some people are figuring out, should I buy Bitcoin? It's too expensive. And then there's people like MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor coming in, just scooping it up. While you're deciding to enter or not to enter, you have people like Michael Saylor coming in and just scooping it up. Nasdaq listed Bitcoin development firm MicroStrategy MSTR announced on Monday, today essentially, that it intends to offer a $700 million principal amount of convertible senior notes due by 2028. The company plans to use the proceeds of the offerings to redeem $500 million worth of senior secured notes with 6.125% annual yields maturing in 2008. The press released it. It will use the rest of the proceeds to purchase more Bitcoins, no matter what the price is, and for general corporate use. The firm also plans to grant the initial purchasers of the notes an option to buy up an additional $105 million of personal amounts of notes within 13 days period, stating that the issuance date of the first notes. The company said it may redeem for cash all or a portion of the notes on or after December 20th, 2027, subject to certain conditions. The company, led by Executive Chairman Michael Saylor, started purchasing Bitcoin back in 2020, adopting it to its reserved assets for its treasury. Since then, it has become the largest corporate buyer of Bitcoin, accumulating 244,800 Bitcoins, worth roughly $14.2 billion at current prices. Only days ago, MicroStrategy disclosed the purchase of an additional, I told everyone just about 1 minute ago that MicroStrategy's last purchase was around $500 million, 562, 500 and so on million dollars. His last purchase at these prices. Yeah, I was off by another 500 million. So only days ago, MicroStrategy disclosed the purchase of an additional $1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin, leaving it with $900 million available on the previous offerings. Recently, the public companies such as Similar Scientific, there are 2 companies in Canada that are following MicroStrategy's blueprints, buying Bitcoin at any price. There is one company in Japan named MetaPlanet that's also buying Bitcoin, no matter what the price. Have followed MicroStrategy's footprints to issue a debt of accumulation in Bitcoin. MSTR shares have slid 4.9% during a regular trading today, alongside a sizable decline in the price of Bitcoin. Shares are down around 1.6% after trading hours. They remain higher by about 300% on year-over-year basis. So down 1.4% today, but in general, for year-on-year basis, they're up 300%. Genuinely, while people are considering to themselves, or while people are waiting for $20,000 Bitcoins, $10,000 Bitcoins, and I explained this multiple times, it's impossible to wait for $20,000 Bitcoins or $10,000 Bitcoins. Impossible to wait for $10,000 Bitcoins and $20,000 Bitcoins. If you have companies like MicroStrategy or even Bitcoin ETFs that are just scooping up Bitcoin. They're scooping up Bitcoin. While people are trying to decide, or while people inside the crypto space are saying, for a while they were saying as well, $20,000 Bitcoins, $10,000 Bitcoins, it's going to happen, is what people kept on saying. And I went against everybody. I said, never going to happen. Very confidently, I said, never going to happen. I understand how corporates work. I'm from the corporate sector. So I understand how corporates work. They're buying assets for 5-year projections. Minimum, they're buying assets for 5-year projections, unless the company really needs to sell off their assets because there is some sort of debt issue or they're going to be going to bankruptcy issues. Then they're going to be start selling off their assets. Other than that, they're not going to be selling off their assets. So they're buying Bitcoin assets for 5-year projections. There are reasons of sell-offs, but they're not going to be dropping on the market space. But they're buying for 5-year projections minimum. So if you have multiple companies all filed in with the S1 filings from the SEC, the S1 filings from the SEC show how many companies are buying Bitcoin ETFs. So if you have multiple and beyond, the list of companies buying Bitcoin ETFs or the list of companies just buying Bitcoin directly is humongous. And they're buying at different times. They're buying at different times, and they're buying for 5-year projections, and they're buying for 10-year projections and 15-year projections, because that's what companies do. Companies don't do assets for one week projections. There's not a single company on this planet that buys an asset for a 1-week projection. It's just not possible. Companies like BlackRock or Franklin Templeton, and the list goes on, MicroStrategy, they don't buy assets for 1-week projections. They buy assets for 5-year projections, minimum, 10-year projections, or 15 or 20 years projection, depends on what the company is. But nobody's buying 1-week projections. So if you have multiple companies doing that at different times or sometimes at the same time, how do you expect to see $10,000 Bitcoins? But this also applies to other crypto assets as well. I've been saying this for a while, and then you have somebody like Eric, who is a Bloomberg ETF special analyst, which I revealed at the beginning of the live show. That Eric, Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, who everybody in Wall Street pretty much listens to Bloomberg, states that everybody inside the crypto space is criticizing the institutions. The Bitcoin maxis, first of all. The people who are Bitcoin maxis, they're criticizing institutions for being inside the Bitcoin space. They're criticizing the ETF space. But the reason why you're not seeing $10,000 Bitcoins is because you have stable investors in Bitcoin. So all the Bitcoin maxis out there that are, saying ETFs have ruined Bitcoins, or the institutions have ruined Bitcoins. No. They're saving your asses, is what Eric put it as, the ETF Bloomberg special analyst, because they're making it a much more stable. Not stable as in the price of Bitcoin stays on one line, but stable as in not dropping to $10,000 or $5,000. So Eric put it perfectly. They're saving your asses. The institutions are saving the Bitcoin maxis asses right now. Miles, have you brought Bitcoin like MicroStrategy? No, I use MicroStrategy's method on another crypto asset. I think everybody could take a guess on what crypto assets particularly, or what particular crypto asset I buy like MicroStrategy. I just scoop it up. There's one crypto asset. I couldn't care less what the price is. I'm just scooping it up. There's one crypto asset. So I use MicroStrategy's method, but not on Bitcoin. Another crypto asset that I just scoop up. So, I think everyone could take a guess. If you're from the CMF, you know what asset I'm talking about when I say I use his method, but just on another crypto asset. Facts. Same here, brother. Let's go, Ray. We've pretty much came to the Trump is talking on X about crypto. His crypto project. We've also come to the endings of tonight's live show. So we talked about a lot of things on tonight's live show. We talked about MicroStrategies, another purchase of $700 million on the way. We talked about the yen in terms of the dollar, in terms of the British pounds, in terms of the euros. We talked about El Salvador's president's movements, that possibility of him maybe selling off to pay off his country's debt. We talked about Linux and Hedera and 100+ members. We talked about 41 firms, a part of the Bank of International Settlements, their movements so far. We talked about quite a bit of we talked about Wisconsin in terms of their pension funds and how much movements they've done. We talked about Sony's partnership with Circle on tonight's live show. We talked about also 2 ex-executive SEC members talking against Gary Gensler in some sort of a testify situation. So 2 ex-SEC officials are going to be testifying against Gary Gensler on the 18th of this month. We also talked about Ripple, which was big news regarding the SEC, but also big news that we went for tonight's live show was Ripple, Hedera, and APT, which was major news as well. Ripple, Hedera, and APT are also compliant with the MiCA regulations, and they're founding members of a program under the MiCA regulations, which is amazing. We also talked about on tonight's live show regarding Trump's crypto project. We talked about the roadmap of Trump's crypto project. We talked about who's involved in Trump's crypto project on tonight's live show. We went through the roadmap of Trump's son's crypto project. We talked about who's involved, the board members, the team, how the token distribution is going to work out. We went through everything on tonight's live show regarding Trump's token. We also talked about tonight's live show regarding BlackRock's perspective. We talked about BlackRock's perspective. We talked about a few other executive member perspectives. This week is going to be rate cuts, essentially. We talked about also on tonight's live show regarding Coinbase CEO. Is he buying IOUs or is he buying Bitcoin itself? So a lot of news we covered. Some major news regarding Ripple, Hedera, and APT. Ripple, Hedera, and APT being a part of the MiCA regulations, compliant and founding members of a program. Or Hedera being a part of Linux. That's big news as well. Or 2 ex-SEC members going against. We went through a lot of news. or Trump's roadmap and so on. So if you missed this live show, rewatch the live show. I talk about the entire roadmap. If you want to hear about Trump's crypto project, the entire roadmap, I talked about it on this live show. Rewatch this live show. If you want to hear about the Ripple Hedera partnership with APT regarding MiCA regulations, watch the live show again. And some other news. We talked about a lot of things on tonight's live show. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and tune into it every single night. This is the CMF live show. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And I talk about the most recent things that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. Every single night you can tune into this live show. We are live on X and YouTube as of right now, every single night. This was episode 157 of the CMF live show. 158 is going to be tomorrow. Tune into this live show UK time, 11:30 UK time. 11:25, 11:30 UK time. You tune into this live show, you're going to be able to catch it. Another great live. Take care, Miles. CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow about the same timing as usual. Thanks, Miles. Night and day to all CMF. Trump is on space now, CM. Let's go. I'll check it out now. Thank you, Shelly. Ray, see you tomorrow. Shelly, see you tomorrow. Mike, thank you. Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, Mike. Good night, Miles. And from Larry Z in New York. Be well, sir. Larry, let's go. Larry, see you tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow. Thanks, Miles, for your valuable updates. I bought some yen 3 days ago. It's a time to turn on my CMF TV. Many thanks, Miles and CMF. Good night, guys. Carl, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Tanner, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well, brother. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great news. Thanks, Miles. Free and forever. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Night, Miles. Pablo, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Miles. Tanner, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Miles. Stormy, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Miles. Good night, CMF. Ghostbunner, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Miles. A lot of hugs to you all. Lena, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. And thank you so much, by the way, to everyone that's been liking and commenting on this live show on X. Thanks so much to everyone that's been liking, retweeting, and commenting on X and on YouTube for liking the video and putting comments after the video is done, after the live show is done. Thanks so much to everyone for the likes, comments, and so on. Thanks so much to everyone that's subscribed to me or followed me on X during this live show as well. But genuinely, thanks so much to everyone for the retweets and likes. Love you all. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. See everyone tomorrow, same time as usual.